Look! Look, the dynamic duo! I got
Hey, welcome to the Dynamic Duo. I'm Franz.
I'm Kevin. Welcome to the new Batcave and Avengers Tower, everybody. Have you heard the latest from Warner Brothers or from their offices?
So what I know is this, and we could talk about this. What I know is this: Snyderverse comes out, blows the lid off of everything. It's a huge success. Fans love it. It's breaking the internet, so on and so forth. And then the Warner Brothers comes out and says, "Oh nope, we're not going to do any more. No more Snyderverse. No more Snyderverse." And apparently, according to certain reports, they're trying to change the subject by introducing certain. I don't know that I necessarily accept that theory, but the theory is that they're trying to change things by releasing certain trailers and to change the conversation. Mm-hmm. And right now, the last conversation that I had was that there's a chance, there's a slight chance. So I don't know what your information is.
My latest update is along the same line. I actually have read press releases from the basically from what they call the special projects CEO, which deals with like the franchise movies such as the Snyderverse and other things. And again, they're saying there will be no Justice League 2. If this is really the case, they're making a serious mistake. To be honest, since the last time you and I have done this, I've now watched the movie 4 times.
Wow. Are you kidding me, dude? That's like a 4-hour movie, man.
I have watched it 4 times.
I'm watching it again today with the family. We were sitting there to watch it tonight. But go on.
I really like it, and the more and more that I watch it, the more and more that I'm able to kind of get into it, tweak it, and critique it a little bit more than I did before. I really like the movie.
Fascinating.
Now, according to what Warner Brothers has said, part of the reason why they don't want to do this again is because although the movie was recut, re-edited, and yes, they shot new scenes, according to the powers that be, Justice League, and we've talked about this, Justice League for them was a $325 million failure. And they don't want to get back into that because they don't think that they can create a Justice League from the Snyder point of view that everybody is looking at from HBO Max. Because Snyder himself has said that unless a miracle happens, he's not doing this again because he, from his point of view, director, writer, etc., he's finished. He's been saying that now for about a month, and that's the problem.
Well, two things about that. First of all, the Zack Snyder saying that he's finished, that's not as definitive as it sounds, because I've seen interviews with him where it's like, listen, if the right opportunity, the right way presents itself, I'm game. He did this, by the way. One thing that's being lost in this is Zack Snyder did this for free. He didn't get paid for this job.
I thought he did.
No, he didn't get paid for that. At least I saw an interview with him saying, I'm doing this for free. I'm doing this for the fan. There was a $50 million budget that went to additional footage, but he didn't get paid any money to do the job. Yeah, exactly. And I think we need to applaud him for that because it was a lot of work. The interview that I saw him do was him talking about how much work it was. And it's like, dude, I didn't even get paid for this. You know what I mean? You said something that I wanted to ask you about. You said Justice League was a $300 million failure. How is that? How is it a $300 million failure?
From their point of view in box office, the movie tanked. As far as Warner Brothers executives and what have you are concerned from their budgetary end and trying to make money as a movie studio and what have you, they lost huge chunks of money. They never, and according to what's been said, they never got it back.
Well, we'd have to look into that because there's loss of money in a movie and there's loss of money. And it's fascinating how arbitrary that is. One of the biggest problems that I've had with movies is that movies certain movies are given credit as success and other movies are given credit as failures based on some weird algorithm of expectation and reaction rather than actual money. So a movie may make, for example, $200 million at the box office and be considered a success, like the X-Men movies were. So X-Men 1 comes out, it made $200 million at the box office.
Right.
Spider-Man comes out, made $400 million at the box office, twice as much. And I used to talk about that all the time. And people were like, yeah, the X-Men are successful. And I'm like, no, the X-Men is a total failure relative to Spider-Man. Well, Spider-Man is the bigger character. No, dude, at the time, there was nothing hotter than the X-Men. And you know, that's been proven later on because Avengers obviously went on to make $1 billion, and Avengers were never as hot as either Spider-Man or the X-Men. So it was a matter of delivery. So that's always bothered me, you know. And so the Justice League, one way that a movie is considered a success or failure is A, if it makes more money than it costs to make, that's a success. B, if it didn't lose any money, that's a relative degree of, hey, you know what, at least we didn't lose any money. And then it's considered a failure if it actually made less money than it cost to produce. Justice League didn't make less money than it cost to produce. It made money at the box office. It wasn't Avengers money. It wasn't, you know, but it made like 90-something million opening weekend. Do you know how many movies would grab that as a total success?
Oh, I know.
I know. So I say all this to say the Warner Brother decision makers are not making any sense, because even if, and I could understand why they could perceive it as a failure, and I would have understood if they hadn't made a Justice League 2, given what had happened in the past without Zack Snyder's version. I could understand that. But even then, you know, sometimes the sequel makes more money than the original, and you go from there. That's happened many, many times. But we have a unique case here. You have millions of people demanding for you to do something. That's an opportunity that is so golden that, by the way, not only is it a golden opportunity, but it's a costly opportunity. To generate that type of interest, you have to spend millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising and in promotion. Here, you're giving it for free at the table. And any little thing that you do, people are going crazy over. To walk away from that cash cow, and forgive me for going on, but to walk away from that cash cow and to replace it with an unknown, which you don't know how people are going to react to, which people may just react to it in a negative sense, just as a reaction to the, you know, against the anti. Dude, that's, to me, that's silly and stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
They're counting on the wrong thing. First of all, you are 100% correct in everything you just said. There's not a single piece that was weak, because everything you said about their decisions and everything else that goes along with it is 100% factually true. Okay? It's one of these things where they're counting on the wrong thing. And what I mean by that is, we may not get a full-blown Justice League 2 with the team as we know it. But what they're going to continue to do along the line of Marvel is these different films that they're coming out with, whether they're Flashpoint or whether it's going to be Suicide Squad 3, which is already being talked about, and on down the line, they're going to stick some of these other characters into them. And that, according to the press releases that they've given people over the last couple of weeks, are their answer to, this is why you don't need a full-blown team sequel. Because and forgive me for droning on, but one of the reasons why they may be in trouble again is there's apparently a problem in Paradise. You know how they had been talking about how they had Michael Keaton back as Batman?
Mm.
There's apparently a problem somewhere, Franz, and he is threatened to pull out of the project.
Wow. By the way,
And part of their whole thing was, ooh, we got Michael Keaton back. So they've already got a problem that if he's really gone, if they can't fix that, they may not be able to recover from that.
exactly.
The other thing is that it's been announced that although Ben Affleck is supposed to be in Flashpoint, they've cut his role in Flashpoint. For whatever dumb reason, his role's been cut.
But I'm not sure if you're done, but that's, again, that's my point. My point is you're heading towards uncertainty. And not only are you heading towards uncertainty, but there's problems on the road to uncertainty. So right now, let's look at it. Batman, the Matt Reeves Batman is in deep trouble. There are all kinds of issues and problems going on with that movie where, like, we don't know what's going on. Serious, and we talked about it in a previous show, but serious beef between the actor and the director and blah, blah, blah. The movie's in trouble. We don't know. But secondly, in addition to Batman, is we don't know how the audience is going to respond to that Batman. That Batman is not appealing to me. Batman with a collar, that's not Batman to me. I don't know what that is. It's not Batman to me. So we don't know. I got you there.
This is why I love you so much, because I actually said that to a friend of mine. Well, why does he have a collar? When I understand the wraparound from the cowl, I get. Where's the collar coming from?
And it's the kind of thing, that little things that distance you from the character that make it, it's just annoying to me. So that's a mess. Now you're doing Flashpoint. Well, Flashpoint could be exciting, but there are issues going on with Flashpoint. But the thing about Flashpoint is that it's using the same characters from the Justice League, so you're kind of continuing that universe. So isn't sequels within a universe a natural thing? So that's not a turn off to a sequel to Justice League. It should be a plus, and so on and so forth. So none of the decisions are making any sense to me people always say Hollywood chases the money. There are many instances where Hollywood is running away from the money, as far as I'm concerned. To
me, they're getting ready to make a major mistake with Ray Fisher, because he was a major reason why Justice League worked. He became the primary glue or catalyst that made that story work. Now you're saying we're not going to use him for anything again. So long, Ray. Thanks for playing. Because I told you already, he's been removed from the Flash movie. He's not going to be in it. He was supposed to be, but he's gone. He is gone. And I wonder if there's no way he's coming back.
I wonder if maybe that's the problem, because there's no other reason why it would be a problem to make a sequel. It's just making a sequel. And if you can get Cavill now, maybe the beef between, what's his name? The CEO, what's his name?
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name, but I can't think of his name. I know who you're talking about. Walter
Takada, something like that. Yeah, but anyway,
I know who you mean. Forgive me.
Maybe Ray Fisher is the problem. Like, we don't want to bring him back, and we can't do the Justice League 2 without him. And so, you know what? They could go. I wonder if that's maybe what the problem is, because nothing else makes any sense to me, And if he is the problem, listen, from a selfish point of view, I say bring him back into the movie. From a thing point of view, I don't really blame the guy, because you can't come for me and not pay a price. If I'm, you know what I mean? If I'm the CEO of Warner Brothers. But
I mean, personally, for me, and I not to repeat myself, but I said this to you before. I don't think Ezra Miller can hold that entire Flash movie by himself, because
interesting.
I think acting wise, not that he's not comparable. I'm not that crazy about him as an actor, but to me, he suffers from the same thing that Tom Holland does. In a weird way, and I know this isn't fair. We may get hate mail. Oops. But it's a matter of, I think he's almost too young for the part. He
You know,
works in a certain sense. He works for what they had him do, but he's almost too young for the role, in my opinion.
I agree with you 1,000%. I had a little blink there because I was like, Tom Holland, you know me with names. I was like, who? I know the name, and then I realized who you're talking about. And as soon as I did, you're like 100%. You're on point. It is exactly correct. The Tom Holland Spider-Man, and it's not just the age thing that bothers me so much. It's the depiction. It's that the clownish, humorous, that's not a good representation of Barry Allen's Flash. And that's not a way to maximize it. Now, having said that, I found, and let me know what you think about this. I found the delivery, and it goes to show you the power of editing and the power of directing. But the Flash in the Snyder cut was better for me than the Flash in the original Justice League. It was less silly. It was more grounded for me a little bit. And I wonder, and maybe I'm going to ask that question to you. I wonder if we can get Ezra Miller to act more like Barry Allen and less like the dweeb in a Flashpoint movie.
See, that's an interesting take, and it really is. I'm not just saying that, because one part of that is Miller's delivery as an actor. The second half of that, and it's not that I'm picking on Miller or picking on Snyder or picking on the Justice League cut or anything, but the other half of where that comes from is that they're trying to combine 4 different versions of the Flash character into one.
You're right.
And that is a problem.
You're right.
Because they're taking elements of Barry Allen. They've got elements of Bart Allen. They have pieces of Impulse in there. They have pieces of Nora, even though she's female. There are certain aspects to Barry's personality from Justice League where he's almost like Nora. It's too much of a combination of too many characters, and that comes from the way that the story and the script are constructed.
I agree.
A major issue. Until they get that straight, you've got a problem.
That's brilliant, and that's why I love you, because that's a brilliant observation. If I may add, not only are they mixing the different characters, but they're also mixing the different mediums too, because Flash and the Justice League Unlimited is different from the Flash from the comic book. So Flash, and this is a problem that the industry is suffering under in general. We have lost the actual characters. So right now, there is no Flash. It's like there is no Spoon, because who's Flash? My Flash is different from your Flash. Mm-hmm. And is my Flash any less legitimate than your Flash? Because my Flash, as I told you, I'm not a DC person. I never shy away from acknowledging that. But I'm a fan of the Flash. But how do I know the Flash? Well, from the animated series. Uh-huh. I know Flash very well from the animated series. And I've been following it for a long time. Does that make me a Flash fan? No, it does not. Because I know that's Flash is not the Flash from the comic books. Mm-hmm. And so on and so forth. And so you're absolutely right. There's and then, the later animated series, that are, So there's a lot of confusion, and it's a confusion that applies not only to Flash, but it applies to Spider-Man, it applies to Thor, it applies to Hulk, it applies to so many characters, if not most characters.
Yes.
To be honest with you, it applies to Wolverine, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, you name it. It applies to all of them. We don't know who these characters are anymore. And
I, not meaning to cut you off, I don't have a problem with borrowing certain elements from the individual characters that have been created, but this is going to sound really, really stupid. The one thing you don't want to do, and this is what they've been doing for a long time now, and they've been doing it with a lot of these characters, and that is exactly what you're saying. They're literally dropping them into a blender, okay, hitting puree, and if they can find, and this is the other problem that I have with it. It's not even that after everything has been mixed together in the blender, and forgive my little analogies and adjectives, but it's not even that. It's that after they're through whipping everything together, they turn around and the casting of the character is done from that puree.
Yeah.
And that's part of where they get into a problem.
I agree.
Because they're not casting from the classic character.
I agree.
They're casting from that puree point.
I agree.
And that's why you have the problem that you and I both have with Tom Holland for Spider-Man, because that version of Spider-Man is from that puree point.
Absolutely, brilliantly made. And by the way, brilliant analogy. Yes, absolutely on point, exactly correct. And in essence, that puree is a new character, which is like, it's a new character. So I have to reintroduce myself to the character all over again.
Mm-hmm.
What's fascinating is that a lot of fans give that a pass. A lot of fans are so hungry to see their characters that they don't see that. Like, I'm surprised, I'm amazed at the number of people who perceived Tom Holland Spider-Man as Spider-Man. Like, that's not Spider-Man at all. Like in any way, shape, or form, it's not Spider-Man. The costume obviously is similar, but that's it. That's where it stops. That's it. Mm-hmm. The costume is similar. That's it. That's where it stops. Where does this? And forgive me for going on, but it stops there, because I was going to say, well, the powers are similar. Actually, no, the powers are not similar, because it's a tech Spider-Man now. Mm-hmm. It's a tech Spider-Man. So, when he's swinging from web to web, he's Iron Man essentially, and he's no longer Spider-Man. So it stops from the similarity of the costume. And you're right about that. And many, many, many characters, most characters are facing that blender situation. Mm-hmm. I guess we can say, and I'll ask you, maybe this could be an interesting exercise. Which characters and which actors, and I think there are some, I could already think of a few, but which actors and characters fit the role?
This looks like a job for Superman.
Hey, look! It's Spider-Man!
The dynamic duo return next week. Don't listen.